Our operation works just like a grain installation operation by Grain Corp or the Wheat Board. We test every load because not every load out of every paddock is the same. The paddocks do vary a bit in quality, and as a result we control the quality by doing the necessary segregation on farm, just the way it's done at the grain installation terminals. We're no different.
So what we did is we'd set that up in the paddock on a ute, and that would be our testing facility. That's right. You just spear a sample, and as it went into the bins, so we'd know what that mother bin, where that had to go.
Yeah, it came with us in the paddock for a while, and then we found that we were testing just around the paddocks as we were harvesting, getting a feel for what proteins and moisture was around the farm. We then actually, because our receival system into our silos, we decided then to move it. And once we knew exactly what it was we were dealing with around the farm protein-wise, we then moved it to the storage system itself and just had it running on a 240-volt system, and there it stayed. So each load that came in, we'd test and record as they went into the silos. So that worked very well. Yeah. We sampled every 10 tonnes, and then that was batched up to a 40-tonne test. So we were testing every trailer load that came in virtually, but it was a running sample every 10 tonnes.
We'd started on barley, and it was all over the shop. We could get very low protein, which would put us into malt 1, which was very hard to get last year, or at least low retention malt. And then you'd take a load in, and it'd be feed, out of the same paddock. And we realised there was some sort of issue, so we promptly bought one. And because we run 2 headers, we started cutting the paddock up into, it's very undulating here, and we cut the paddock up into highs and lows, and we found all the low areas were very high in protein, and all the high areas were, did I say low in protein, did I? No, high in protein rather, and the high areas were low. So we basically blended, really. We used to do 4-to-1 type thing, and that's where the machine was invaluable.
Mainly we use it in the system where we do cuts through an area prior to harvest or as we go to start to harvest, and then we test all those samples, and that allows us of where we've got to do our mixing or blending or whatever's required.
It's helped us with the moisture side. We do it by box, header box. It's approximately 8 tonne the header box, and we've allows us to put it in the high protein, low protein into different silos, and we can mix and match it from there. Because
that was always in our Weybridge office, which is a testing station. We didn't have to take it out because our paddocks the property is contiguous in every way. Maybe next year when we've got barley further away we might have to use it portably, but we left it on the bench. We would test every load, and so it was used daily. And how many times a day? Probably 12 or 15 on the days we were harvesting, and then when we were delivering outloading, of course after harvest we were using it on every load that went out.
Yeah, moisture after we've had a rain. It's very important to get that moisture right, or know what we've got. So that's one big factor we have, and the other one is the protein. We monitor crops as we're harvesting all the way through, and sometimes we actually check paddocks. We do a crosswalk across the paddock before harvest just to get a bit of an idea where we are.
On the header a fair bit when we was trying to pick out or patch out paddocks to find the right protein. Yeah, mainly in the header, yeah, I would say.